Welcome into Texans Today. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs. Coming up, it's Overreaction Monday after an absolutely heartbreaking 24-21 loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars. We'll break it all down here on Texans Today. And if you were watching the live stream that we had yesterday, you know that loss was just absolutely gut-wrenching. 24-21, Texans lose to the Jags, go down. Now are out of the AFC wildcard spot going into Week 13. Jags take a stronger hold for the AFC South title. And, C.J. Stroud, 26-36, 304 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, having another magnificent game. Devin Singletary, a back-to-earth game, 6 carries, only 18 yards. Not a lot of carries, not a lot of production for him. He was splitting time with Dameon Pierce once again. Nico Collins, 7 receptions, 104 yards, and a touchdown. And we look over on the other side, Calvin Ridley, 5 receptions for 89 yards, 1 touchdown. It all seemed to come on one drive for Calvin Ridley, too. He destroyed the Texans on that one drive for the Jaguars. And Trevor Lawrence had a decent game, 23-38, 364 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, which maybe shouldn't have been. We'll get into that later on. And before I get into my overreactions on this Monday morning, I need your help. Help me make this the best Texans channel on YouTube. We're already the fastest growing Texans channel on YouTube, trying to get to 7,000 subscribers. Don't do it for me. Do it for CJ. Do it for CJ. Let's get to 7K for CJ. Subscribe today for daily Texans coverage here on YouTube. Go down and hit the subscribe button or go to youtube.com/Texans TV. My producer in the back, he already knows what's up. Do it for CJ, for CJ Stroud. Yeah. Now, let's get into these overreactions. Did the refs cost the Texans the game? I must say this is an overreaction. I know Texans fans on Twitter or Texans fans around the nation are pissed off at the refs, and they should be. The refs did not have a good game yesterday. But in my opinion, you can't blame the loss on the refs. I'm just not that guy. The Texans had a chance to win the game, and they were only penalized one more time than the Jaguars were on Sunday. The team, they could have played better in multiple situations, and I just think it's weak to blame the refs and say, you know what, the Texans didn't lose that game. The refs cost the Texans the game. They didn't. The Texans had a chance to win the game at the end. But the refs absolutely sucked. They were calling that game from their knees the entire game. Watching that game, the calls that were made and that weren't made were absolutely infuriating. Multiple calls really pissed me off yesterday. It was just awful. The refs sucked. And not even just for the Texans. I'm not going to say they cost the Texans the game because, like I said, I think that's an overreaction. I think the Texans got screwed and the Jags got screwed by the refs on multiple occasions. I'll break that down in just a moment. But I want to hear from you folks at home. It's Chat Sports, not Jeremy Sports, as I like to say. I want to hear from you folks at home, and I'll be looking down in the comment section. Grade the refs' performance yesterday. I think I already know what your answer might be. Give me an A, B, C, D, or F. Give them their report card. Give them back and say, hey, this is what you earned yesterday in class for the Texans versus Jaguars game. Give me your grade of the refs' performance yesterday. Now, here are some calls that really pissed me off. I watched this play where they called Tank Dell on an illegal shift on that 50-plus yard reception from C.J. Stroud, which was an absolute dime. I watched that play about, I'm not shitting you, 15 times, and I don't see it. Maybe I got the blinders on. I tried to bring some other guys in the office to say, hey, do you see an illegal shift here? I even talked to our Dolphins guy who, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, literally have this same exact motion every single play, and they don't get called for illegal shifts. I don't see it at all. The rule is you can't move forward before the snap. He was literally this way whenever the ball was snapped. I don't see it at all. Huge play negated, and a huge momentum shift for the Jacksonville Jaguars whenever the Texans got called on that illegal shift, making it a third and even longer, and then the Texans had to punt it away. Absolutely BS call on that one. Another one from Tank Dell, the incomplete pass, which I get it. The call wasn't reversed. It stands on the play, but if you look at it again, he did get both feet down. It was a completed catch. That one I give the refs a little leeway because it was a bang-bang call, and I said it on my live show yesterday. whatever call was made on the field, that's what call they were going to stick with. There wasn't enough evidence either way at the time with the camera angles, but when you look at the stills, when you look at the photos on Twitter today, Tank caught it. Tank caught it. The other one, the Steven Nelson holding call on third down, where Trevor Lawrence skipped a pass to Calvin Ridley, and at the top of his route, Steven Nelson barely touched Calvin Ridley. I mean, maybe I have the Texans blinders on once again for this one, but I think that was an extremely ticky-tack call, almost a, makeup call for a call that they missed earlier. I don't think Steven Nelson earned holding on that call. That extended the drive for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And another call that really just absolutely infuriated me was the DeAndre Houston-Carson DPI on 3rd and goal. That's another play I've seen about 10 times. Different camera angles, different spots. I don't know how in the world you call DPI on Houston-Carson in that situation on 3rd and goal, and you gift the Jaguars a touchdown there. That call absolutely made me bonkers. It pissed me off so bad how bad that call was, because Houston-Carson didn't even touch him. An amazing play by that young man. And, I mean, just all to not get called for DPI on 3rd and goal, giving the Jaguars first down at the 1-yard line. I mean, come on. And then the Thomas DPI at the goal line. Another, kind of going back to this Steven Nelson holding call on 3rd down, another ticky-tack call where you're like, come on. Like, how do you make that call? You've been letting these guys play all day, and then you make a call where it's like the ball wasn't even catchable. It was at the 2-yard line out of bounds, not even close to the receiver. I don't even think if Christian Kirk wasn't touched at all on that play, he would have made that catch. It was just an awful call. And this is me saying, the refs didn't cost us the game because the Texans got favored on a call as well. The refs missed a clear holding penalty on Jalen Petrie that led to Derek Stingley's interception. So I'm not saying, the Texans were the benefactors or the Jaguars were the benefactors of the refs on Sunday. Both teams lost on Sunday when it came to the refs. And I think it really ruined a game that could have been even more special. We could have seen a possible overtime game. We could have seen something else on Sunday. We could have seen a better outcome on Sunday. Maybe the Jaguars still win, but overall, it is so infuriating watching a football game that is, dictated by the refs, and the refs absolutely blow the game. I mean, I'm almost positive the refs had their phones in the toilet during the game because they were calling shit all Sunday long. Oh, okay, sorry. I had to get that rain out. My producer Coop is telling me, hey, we got more show. Texans need to look at kickers. My next Overreaction Monday segment, but first, got to show some love to our sponsors over at Prize Picks. This daily fantasy sports made easy. You just choose 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and then you choose a flex or power play, and you submit your entry. It's as easy as that, folks. And I'm telling you this, with basketball season here, the Rockets, they're playing well. You can now pick combo projections across football and basketball from the Specials League, a league created specifically for combo projections that includes 2 or more players from different sports or leagues. For example, LeBron James plus Nico Collins at 10.5 combo of 3-pointers made and receptions. Testing my skills on Prize Picks this football season is the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 to $250 with just a few taps. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks is daily fantasy sports made easy. Texans need to look at kickers. That's real talk here on an Overreaction Monday. I'm sorry, Matt Amendola, I'm not blaming the loss on him at all either because, a 59-yard field goal isn't a gimme. But at the same time, you've missed 3 field goals in the past 2 games. I'm sorry, you got to be better than that. I'm not saying the Texans need to sign these guys and, have to replace Amendola this week. But I think the Texans need to bring in a kicker. Maybe a Rodrigo Blankenship, Randy Bullock, Zane Gonzalez. I think the Texans need to at least look at it going into this final stretch if Fairbairn isn't able to return this season. But what do you think? You be the GM. Should the Texans sign a new kicker? Give me a yes, give me a no in the comments section. I'm really interested to see what you have to say because that doink was extremely brutal yesterday, and he missed another field goal earlier in the game. He's 0 for 5 all time in 50-plus yard field goals, and if you're going to win in the playoffs, if you're going to win in crunch time, you need a kicker that you can rely on. Amendola, I'm sorry, he's just not that guy. Lastly, the Texans showed their inexperience on Sunday. That's some more real talk. I hate to say it, but the Texans showed their inexperience on Sunday, and I mean, it was the deciding factor in the game. I mean, C.J. Stroud, don't get me wrong, I am the biggest fan of C.J. Stroud. I have been on the C.J. Stroud bandwagon since the very beginning, since they drafted him. I mean, I even have a C.J. Stroud, almost in every single one of my videos. Another incredible game. But you can't take those sacks on the final drive, CJ. You're trying to get in field goal range. You're trying to help your team win. Crucial sacks taken on the final drive. I mean, that was just a heartbreaker. And I mean, like I said, going back to the kickers, you'd make his kick even more hard to tie the game with 30 seconds left in the game. I mean, you can't do that. And Bobby Slowik, he's done an incredible job with C.J. Stroud in this Texans offense. But what were those calls on 3rd and 4th down when it was 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 that led to the turnover on downs? I mean, it's 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1, and then your play call is a deep shot for 40 yards on the right and a deep shot 40 yards on the left. I mean, yes, Dalton Schultz was open, and maybe a little bit better throw from C.J. Stroud on that 4th and 1. The Texans are in the red zone. But you have Dameon Pierce back. He's been able to get you those dirty yards. He's not been explosive, but he's a guy where when it's 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, you can give him the ball, have him put his head down, and give you those 1 or 2 yards. Why not take the yardage? I get you're trying to be creative. I get you're trying to make explosive plays. But, I mean, just not the right play calls in those situations. Whenever you're a tenured OC, whenever you're a tenured coach in the NFL, I don't think you make those calls. And that makes it hard for the remaining games for the Texans. I mean, that makes this Week 13 game against the Broncos almost a must-win. Week 14 against the Jets, and then you have 2 games against the Titans and the Colts, which are surprising people. And I didn't have it on there, Coop, but if you want to go to the NFL, the playoff, yeah, there we go. Because, I mean, this game had a ton of implications. I said it before. The winner of this game would have a stranglehold on the AFC South. And as we look at the AFC playoff picture now, the Texans are on the outside looking in after a loss. The Colts jumped them yesterday. So, I mean, that's a huge, huge momentum swing for the Texans if they want to make the playoffs this year. They have to win the next 2 weeks. They have to beat Tennessee twice. They have to beat the Colts in Week 18. I mean, these games have now turned into extremely crucial games for the Houston Texans. So, we'll have to see throughout the next couple weeks if they can persevere, if they can win, and if they can earn a playoff spot in the AFC. That's been it for today's show. I appreciate everybody who made it to the end of today's show. Give me some H's in the comments if you made it all the way to the very end of today's show. You're a real one. I appreciate you. Follow me on Twitter at Jeremy Chuggs. And don't forget to subscribe. We're trying to get to 7K for C.J. Stroud, the fastest growing Texans channel on YouTube. I'll see you tomorrow, folks.